Sionagad, hello all. Osha Sahia, good evening and Wado. Thank you for watching. So this is day 16 of reading Lone Wolf Alpha Squad Copy Over by James Rink, and this is his story. So number 5, Kruger Runner. All the others on this list can be Kruger runners, with the exception of Lichtsoldaten, Lichtsoldaten. Their abilities include running and parkour while bending space and time in a time-freezing zone. Typically, they are considered a more positive group. Kruger is a planetary corporation and outsources their work to other planetary corporations, but doesn't necessarily follow their agendas. Think of them like a hired security patrol. Kruger was created by Gabriel Kruger. In alternate parallel Earth in which the Nazis won World War II, they also serve as a military contractor for their Third Reich. Number 6, Lichtsoldaten, I don't know, are Third Reich light soldiers from a mirror reality in which Nazis won World War II. Licht means light in German. In that reality, they were not a victim of the Nordic ETs who promoted eugenics and destruction of certain undesirable races. Nordics chose to stop supporting that reality as they were being ignored and came to our reality instead. These soldiers were first enhanced during World War II. They are coming here through portals from that mirror reality. In that reality, there is no poverty, no hatred, no jealousy. You can live in huge mansion. That's what it says. So I think it's you can live in a huge mansion, drive fancy cars. There are no oil products. Hydrogen cells to run their vehicles. So that's what they probably use to do that. In our reality, there are parts of our world with extreme poverty, but in the mirror Nazi reality, they helped all these people. Problem is, the regime was under Nazi control, one world government, abilities. After they shapeshift, they look human still. The most elite Lichtsoldaten are here in our reality and are doing bad stuff, but in their reality, everything is fine. They are connected with terrorism, suicide bombers, and mayhem. They also work with Monarch. Dark Fleet doesn't want to be a threat to the Fourth and Fifth Reich, so they do not want to confront the Lichtsoldaten issue. Dark Fleet is part of planetary corporations, which is controlled by mobster families who are part of the Fifth Reich. Number 7, ET super soldier equals extra soldiers. Extraterrestrial super soldiers are much more advanced and enhanced. They can remotely influence telepathically and cybernetically, control instruments, suits, and tech. Their skin is covered in a tight suit that is cybernetic and AI in base. They also can shapeshift and turn invisible using technology. Number 8, ancient super soldiers. Protected ancient treasures such as King Solomon's gold, Manchurian gold, Templar gold. No one knows who made them. Fables, myths, legends of the demigods and superheroes of old. Once people believe it and start to research this topic, the magical incantations can create problems. They have a strong connection to ancient Sumeria and Atlantis. Ultra MK MyLab Universal Super Soldier Program. There are many types of super soldiers, but not all super soldiers are ultra soldiers. Gosh, it's a tongue twister. However, this book will explain more about ultra soldiers, since that is what this author is. The Ultra MK MyLab Universal Super Soldier Program sought to create the perfect ultra soldier. I almost give you the giggles. One who would act without questioning their commands. In September of 1945, 21 subjects were selected to be placed under total robotic mind control programming, enhanced with drugs, alien hardware, and circuitry. Now, let me just tell you really quickly. For those that want to have an attitude or something, it gives me the giggles because I keep tripping over the super soldier stuff, okay? Just the words, not what happened to these people, okay? Let's be adults about it. Okay. November 1945, 21 subjects were selected to be placed under the total robotic mind control program and enhanced with drugs, alien hardware, and circuitry. They were stronger than 10 men combined. They could calculate faster, had higher stamina. They could jump further and run faster. They could survive chemical weapon attacks and bullets. Right from the start, they were groomed to fight. They are the real Terminator, a perfect soldier. That's what I was wondering. It has always been a top priority of military commanders to seek innovative ways to maintain combat superiority. During the Vietnam and Korean War era, soldiers with psychic gifts were chosen for espionage and combat missions who would benefit from their clairvoyance, remote viewing, and telekinesis abilities. This was known as the Pre-Generation Super Soldier Program. They were basically meat sacks with body armor and a will of iron. 6,000 promising candidates were selected from Project Talent and placed in this program. But the Fourth Reich Nazi paperclip scientists had bigger plans, like eugenics. They understood that good breeding can improve the genetic stock of a population. So too could they improve the genetics of a soldier. But this concept isn't a new one. The ancient Spartans even had their own super soldier breeding program. The MIEC was using alien technology to teleport alien hybrid contactees within underground facilities for interrogation. Then, sometime in the late 1960s, early 1970s, they began breeding their super soldiers. These super soldiers were subjected to different types of programming, such as Delta. They are the first to go into battle and are both fast and ruthless. Alphas go in next. They are nice and clean and used as snipers as well as for reconnaissance ops. Omegas are used as staff members and for assassination missions and suicide bombings, but they can come back to life afterwards. What? There is also beta programming, which is sexual programming, and gamma focusing on what? CONINTELLPRO, CONINTELPRO, i.e. lying. Okay. Super soldiers are sent on various missions, including espionage, black ops, intelligence gathering, operating alien hardware, remote viewing, off-world missions, Stargate ops, time travel ops, as well as military and combat operations. From this early group of super soldiers, 20 subjects were chosen, and their DNA was mixed with alien hybrid DNA, usually reptilian or Pleiadian, and inserted into embryos, then grown into test tubes for 2 months. Some of that came out with this, I don't know, senator or something that was being interviewed by this guy on, I don't know if it's Fox News or whatever. But if you watch that link that I sent to you today about, I posted today with Dr. Greer having the press conference, he shows the clips and references those things. And it talked about how they were, the projects that they were doing that came out, or that they're just now finding out or whatever, was about mixing DNA and stuff. Man, that's crazy. So it says here, this group of 20 subjects were chosen, and their DNA was mixed with alien hybrid DNA, usually reptilian or Pleiadian, and inserted into embryos, then grown in test tubes for 2 months. The strongest embryos would then be covertly inserted into the wombs of women in surrogate families, usually within bloodline families. This was known as Project Surrogate. They would then be raised in a natural environment until they were old enough to become groomed into a military asset. The reason they placed these individuals with surrogate families is because they found they are better fighters if they have loving families instead of growing up as a prisoner in an underground base. The following was provided to me from a Monarch victim who used her photographic memory to memorize some documents pertaining to Project Surrogate she found while in an underground facility. Through trial and error of DNA manipulation, the first set of perfected superhumans, in parentheses, generation ones, were born, either as test tube babies or surrogated. However, only 75 out of the presumed 123 possessed abnormal abilities. Another 54 were unstable, both mentally and physically, due to the alterations of their minds and bodies, leaving some brain dead, paralyzed, deformed, or had some type of brain damage that conflicted with their senses, nerves, and bodily functions. The remaining 21 were deemed fit for battle. Some 5 years later, 3 stable and 15 unstable G1s, which had now become more civilized, albeit more so with military, scientific, and medical employees. This ended the G1 project due to the fact that all had found free will. Oh, wow. A second experiment was conducted in parentheses Generation 2 and managed to create more super soldiers. However, these had less powerful abilities, and only 631 out of 754 were perfected. Some of the G2s were birthed from test tubes and surrogated mothers, while others were actual sons and daughters of G1s. However, these types were few and rare, as most pregnancies led to miscarriages. Can't be messing with nature, man. A brighter side of the project was that there were fewer abnormalities in the G2s, and not nearly as many suffered from the illness and afflictions that the G1s had. From there, the G2s were more highly regarded, despite the fact that the G1s had the better powers. Most of the first batch of super soldiers, referred to as Generation 1s, were rejected. However, about 21 units or so were deemed useful. Those that made the cut went out for future programming, and their DNA was used as a basis to create a second generation batch of test tube embryos. Gen 2 hit the scene around the mid-70s. In addition to steroids and implants, alien robotics were augmented into human flesh, such as wires in the muscles to increase strength and speed. In the late 70s, Gen 3 appeared on the scene. These beings had even more robotics than the previous models and were 1,000 times stronger than the pre-generation model. However, they were more biological than cyborg, and because of this human component, they often refused to follow certain orders they deemed unethical. To overcome this challenge in the mid-1980s, Gen 4 appeared on the scene. These individuals were augmented with cybernetic organs such as artificial hearts and lungs and metal bones such as titanium, and according to Michael Prince, PRI metal, which is like gold but stronger than diamonds and is found only in the rings of Saturn. Oh wow. This alloy exoskeleton itself is chameleon class, which means if a surgeon cuts the body open to have a look at it, the moment it is exposed to air, the metal disguises itself as normal human bone. What? Underneath their skin layer is a hormone-activated metal tendon sheath that cannot be punctured by knives or bullets. By the late 80s, Gen 4 was leading way to Gen 5. These individuals contained mostly cybernetics with a touch of human flesh within the organs. They were so strong they could literally walk through a brick wall without being phased. They could crush a human skull without even trying, and they could lift a tank, but it would damage their flesh. This literally sounds like the different phases of Terminators. By the late 90s, Gen 6 appeared on the scene. They have no humanity and animate themselves using strict alien mechanics. Now comes the Gen 7 to 10 super soldier cyborg prototypes. They are loaded with femtotech, FEMTOTECH, and chemicals. The skin is a biopolymer, which looks like regular skin but sweats a waxy substance that protects it from dangerous chemicals and toxins. They can also heal within minutes. Their nervous system is independent from the rest of the body, making neurotoxins inert. They are so strong they can jump across buildings. They have a waste recycling plant in the base of their spinal column, which eliminates the need of food and water. And they contain a self-oxygenating chamber in the neck. In the neck allows them to breathe in outer space without a spacesuit. They also have weapons incorporated into their systems, so even when they are disarmed, they can defend themselves, such as weapons under the skin like a claw or blade that can be dropped in a fight on the back of their wrists. These blades are automatically activated when these individuals encounter malevolent beings such as reptilians and Bigfoot-like creatures. Some of these beings carry a left Terminator eye, which is heat-seeking, and a normal right eye. They may have, I wonder, in Terminator, was it the left one? I don't know. They may have a glass-like covering over part of their skull, which contains wires and circuitry. They are so powerful they can destroy worlds or can create a bomb in their body and project that into whoever they want. Whoa. Here's a testimony from one MyLab experiencer who chose to remain anonymous, explaining what it was like to be in a med lab after battle. I remember getting shot 5 to 6 times in the spine. It was dark. I had on black armor. I kept waking up while being worked on. I remember having my armor cut off with a special saw. I felt the blood dripping, and the medical team kept putting me back under, saying, "Don't worry, Captain, we'll take care of it." There are more details, but I was in a hell of a battle. My neck was clamped to the table from the back, and so was the rest of me. That way I could be rotated. Robots were trying to take out the bullets and rebuild my spine. After I kept waking up during the procedure, they decided to do it while I was awake. I was surprised the projectiles went through my armor. That was one of the things I talked to the crew about. I was under anesthesia while being worked on. Here's the thing. I always wake up while being put under. I also said, this new armor doesn't work. They knew exactly what to hit me with. The enemy worked in the shadows and were really fast and rarely seen. Okay, I have to leave it there. Done to go hang again. You mean a good chance to meet again. Love you, mean it.